My job is very easy tonight. I just introduced the Master of Ceremonies who will run with the program. Uh, the gentleman to my left, my immediate left, is Dr. Jerry F. Burke. He's a graduate of State Teachers College in 1959 with a BS in education. He's a little older than I am. He from there went to George Washington University, where he got his master's in education. Then he went to the American University, where he got his PhD in education. And after that, he retired in 1996 after 13 years as president of Massasoit Community College. And he had a career of over 40 years in public higher education. Previously, he taught modern Irish history at Boston State College for 15 years. Jerry was a member of the UMass Foundation at the Boston Board of Directors. He is active in Boston State events and sees classmates regularly. With his wife, Rosemary, he has traveled to Hong Kong, China, Russia, most of Western Europe, and many times to Ireland. I hope it was tax deductible. They live in Norton and have 5 married children and 18 grandchildren. His leisure time is spent babysitting. No. That wasn't on the script, but I had to say it. Reading, barbershop singing, maybe he'll give us a rendition, gardening, and charitable activities such as the Catholic Charities. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jerry Burke.
Thank you, Tom. You read it just the way I wrote it. There were a couple of changes. It was an MA from Georgetown, and it was a PhD from American University, and I studied at Trinity University in Ireland as well. And I'm educated far beyond my intelligence. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our annual Boston State College celebration and presentation of our Education for Service Awards. I'm vertically challenged, and that's not a nice thing to say. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome you to one of the newest buildings at UMass Boston, University Hall, which opened in 2016. And this is now a new venue for our annual events. And we wanted you to get a feel of what today's students experience in this state-of-the-art auditorium. To those whom you don't know, my name is Jerry Burke, and Tom gave you my credits. He didn't tell you that I was tall, dark, and handsome, like I put down. But I was president of Massasoit Community College for 14 years until they found me out. And then I retired. My wife said, find something to keep you busy. So I went teaching at here at UMass Boston, which I've been teaching for the last 15 years. In 2011, I was honored to receive the Education for Service Award. It was a special evening for me and for my family, along with other people at that ceremony, Peter Safaris, Beverly Lowry, John and June Moon. I'm also pleased to host this year's event as a representative of the Boston State College Steering Committee and to introduce you to this year's honorees. Let me take a moment to acknowledge my fellow committee members who organized our program. They might raise their hand. You know, it was very meaningful for me to get the award in 2011. I had a lot of my family and friends here, and I think of a saying uh, of the Irish poet William Butler Yeats: "Think not where glory most begins to end," and say my glory was that I had such friends. And we also acknowledge the previous Education for Service Award winners who are with us today: the Reverend Louis Beer, Patricia Cronin, Tom Feenan, Ed McNelly, Mary Grasso O'Neill, Michael Taylor, and Carol D'Souza. I saw Carol someplace. It's now my pleasure to introduce our event co-chair, the new Dean of UMass Boston's College of Education and Human Development, and a professor of education, Joe Berger. And Dean Berger came to UMass Boston in September from UMass Amherst, where he served as a senior associate dean in the College of Education and director of the Center for International Education. Ladies and gentlemen, Dean Berger.
Good evening. It's a real honor and privilege to be here. And I'm very humbled, actually, given the stature of our award winners and having to follow Tom and Jerry. So, hey, that worked pretty well, actually. And if Jerry's going to sing, that'll be fine. But actually, if my gift to all of you is I won't even attempt to sing. So it really is my distinct pleasure to greet you from the university and to welcome you to campus for this very special event. As Jerry noted, University Hall is one of our newest academic buildings. And in addition to classroom spaces, this building houses our art, chemistry, and performing arts departments. My colleagues in art and performing arts are especially excited that their students have access to these top-notch facilities, which include the Black Box Theater, Recital Hall, and Art Gallery. Those are all located on this floor. And if before you leave, you have a chance to look around a little bit more, I really encourage you to do so. This is truly a spectacular venue, and this is the kind of learning environment that our students truly deserve. So it's great to be here with you for this annual Boston State College celebration and presentation of the Education for Service Awards. I would like to recognize the alumni volunteers who serve on the Boston College Steering Committee, and they include Tom Feenan, class of '66, who chaired this year's committee, Jerry Burke, who you've met, former Professor Ed Cosgrove, Patricia Cronin, class of '59, Carol D'Souza, a retired staff member, Alicia Knopf, class of '69, John Flores, class of '71, Linda O'Brien, class of '80, Mary Grasso O'Neill, class of '68 and '71, Linda Parado, a retired staff member, and Gladrica Quarles, another staff member. Let's thank them for their voluntary leadership and their efforts in putting this event together. And I also want to extend a special welcome to the family and friends of our Alumni Award recipients, Jackregan, Rhonda Goodale, and Bill Bratton. Thanks to all of you for coming out tonight. As the new dean of the College of Education and Human Development, I've enjoyed getting to know the college's history over these past few months. And I was especially pleased to find out about its Boston State College origins and the legacy connection to Boston Normal School. I was actually at a meeting last night, and somebody mentioned the fact that Boston State College is in the DNA of UMass Boston. And in the 3 months that I've been here and the opportunities that I've had to engage with alumni of Boston State College, I have found that to be very true. And the more I learn about Boston State College, the easier it is for me to see the profound impact that it's had on our current faculty, staff, and students. So in last month, I had the pleasure of attending the Boston Teachers College Scholarship Luncheon and getting to know more about Boston State College as I talked with alumni about their careers in teaching here in Boston and other communities, and a wide variety of public service roles that so many of you and your fellow classmates have been engaged in over the past several decades. I was particularly struck by the remembrances of how well the college prepared them for their careers and their pride in their profession. As dean, I'm proud to tell you that our faculty share that same commitment to providing an excellent teacher education preparation program for today's students. And I'm sure our students are just as excited as you once were about embarking on a career in public service. I was also impressed that the Boston Teachers alumni I met never forgot the college motto, education for service. I quickly learned that this was much more than a nice slogan. It has deep meaning. They understand deeply, as do all of you, that their education empowered them to serve others, and that service to others is an inherent responsibility that comes with receiving a higher education. In my short time here, I see this as an important part of the legacy of Boston State, a value that has inspired your professional and personal lives. Just as the college had a tremendous impact on you, its legacy continues here at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. While its history is formally recognized in our campus center's Boston State College room, its influence can also be seen in my college and the College of Nursing and Health Sciences that had their origins on Huntington Avenue. It also lives in the classrooms and offices on this campus where former faculty and staff bring their commitment to public higher education to serve our students and local communities. The Boston State College legacy also lives in each and every one of the college's graduates. In your professional lives and in your community involvement, you bring the knowledge and skills that you learned on Huntington Avenue into so many fields of endeavor. For many, the call to service is one that you embraced in careers which you have dedicated yourselves to improving the quality of life in so many cities and towns, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and beyond. The Education for Service Awards recognizes those who have made outstanding contributions in their field. Recipients, like the ones we are honoring this evening, truly embody the college's Education for Service motto and are a vital part of the college's tremendous legacy. I would like to congratulate tonight's award winners, Jackregan, Rhonda Goodale, and Bill Bratton. Your accomplishments and your dedication to serve the community bring honor to your alma mater. Finally, I would like to express the university's gratitude to those who contributed to the Boston State Scholarship Fund, which will support University of Massachusetts Boston students. Thanks to your generosity, this permanently endowed fund now has a market value of nearly $72,000. This year, Somerville resident Kelly Mccann, an art major in the College of Liberal Arts, received the scholarship. Kelly has been working and going to college for the past 6 years. The award is enabling her to cut some of her working hours so she can take more courses and graduate within a year. When asked what she would say to those who supported her scholarship, she replied, and I quote, "Thank you. Your generosity makes it possible for me and students like me to dive into an education when it wouldn't otherwise be possible." In addition to graduating with a diploma and the potential career advancement that comes with a college degree, this education has and continues to offer me opportunities to grow as a person in ways that consistently surprise me. I learned how to better communicate with people from all walks of life at UMass. In my time at the institution, I learned to be more empathetic, work as a team player, and cultivate a more worldly awareness. As someone who has taken multiple breaks from college to work, save money, and return to my educational pursuits, these skills are tremendously valuable to me. Thank you for making it possible for me to grow in so many ways. I can't wait to apply these skills to help empower others. If that doesn't embody the motto, education for service, I don't know what does. So let me personally thank all of you for supporting wonderful students like Kelly. I think you'd agree that she makes a terrific Boston State College scholar. Her future plans are to work in technology in a role where she can bridge communication gaps between the design and the development of web interfaces. Through your gifts to Boston State Scholarship Fund, you do more than pay tribute to your alma mater. You also help ensure that future generations of learners have access to the wonderful opportunity of higher education here at Boston's only public university. Thank you all for being here tonight and helping us honor Boston State. I encourage you to continue your involvement with the University of Massachusetts Boston as we further the college's proud legacy that started at 625 Huntington Avenue. Thanks again. It's a privilege to be here. I am very humbled to be part of such a significant and proud legacy.
Thank you, Joe. That was very good. You know, you've heard people who bucket list people, who keep a list of places they'd like to go, people they'd like to meet, things they'd like to do. Well, there are people who are bucket fillers, people who fill people with joy and fulfillment, contentment and laughter. And tonight we have Wanda and Jack and Bill, who are bucket fillers extraordinaire. It's my pleasure now to introduce our first honoree, a proud State College at Boston alumnus, Jackregan. For more than 5 decades, Jack, you pursued your life's calling as an English teacher at Boston Public Schools, impacting the lives of more than 10,000 students. In a career that has taken you from the Barnes Junior High School in East Boston to Yangzhou Senior High School in China, you have modeled excellence in teaching and creative programming. Beyond your classroom, you also brought your expertise to transforming learning environments for student success. At the Barnes, you joined your fellow teachers in turning around a troubled school from the worst school in East Boston to the best. During Boston's busing crisis, you saved hundreds of students from abandoning their hopes for a higher education as founding administrator of Another Course to College, a rigorous college preparatory program with a small setting. A standout educator, you have earned local, national, and international recognition. The receipt of the Harvard Club Boston Prize Book Award, you were honored as an outstanding high school teacher who inspires curiosity and excellence in students. In 1994, you received the White House Commission on Presidential Scholars Distinguished Teachers Award and was celebrated as a special event by President Clinton. You are, by the way, the only Boston public school teacher to ever receive this prestigious accolade. Additionally, the U.S.-China Additionally, the U.S.-China Teachers Exchange, a program of the National Committee on U.S.-China Relations, recruited you to teach English in Chinese high schools. Most importantly, you've made a difference for scores of students, including those you taught during your long tenure at Boston Latin. Their praise for you is immense. To quote one of them, Boston City Councilor Matt O'Malley, "You are truly one of the most selfless public servants I have ever known." Currently, as a retiree, you continue caring and helping students as a volunteer host parent to Chinese students attending private high schools in Boston. Through your outstanding contributions and leadership in public education, you personified Boston State College's Education for Service motto, and you serve as an exemplar of the college's legacy. In recognition of your distinguished service and leadership, the University of Massachusetts Boston is proud to present you with the Boston State College Education for Service Award. Jack, if you'll step forward and join Dean Berger and myself for the award presentation.
We all set? Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you. Am I supposed to say something now?
Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Oh, good. First and foremost, thanks so much to my family. They are wonderful here this evening. My sister Frances, my sister Marilyn, my nephew John. Wonderful, wonderful friends who I worked with in the Boston Public Schools, Pat O'Brien, Jim McGrain, and last but certainly not least, a student whom I taught in China who's sitting up there and now is a student at Northeastern University. And one of the best things is when you kind of adopt a person who becomes a member of your family, and he's now the young man with the camera who's sitting beside Marilyn, and I am host parenting him. I taught him 3 summers ago, and his father said, could I get him a good school here in Boston? And I did, and there he is. And he's a wonderful kid. I loved teaching. I really did. I was a headmaster of another course to college for 4 years, but I wasn't teaching kids. And that's when I went to Latin school. I taught at Latin school from 1979 to 2001. 2001, I was recruited by the U.S.-China Teachers Exchange. I lived and taught in Yangzhou, which is a city a couple of hours away from Shanghai. And that young man, Deng Nan, was one of my students. And I'm so happy to be here. And I was told that I couldn't talk for the 45 minutes that I would have liked. But I do want to mention that I am not Reagan, I'm Regan. And we'll talk a little bit about Irish for a moment. Reagan, you know, we had a President Reagan. That name in Irish language means farmer. My name is R-E-G-A-N, Regan. It means, are you ready? King. Thank you so much.
Your Majesty, that was very nice. Some have wondered, and others have been regretful of the fact that I've gotten this far into the program without telling a story. Well, I'll tell you a quick story about this elderly couple who were invited to a costume ball, and they were told to dress appropriately. Well, they dithered for 2 weeks. The wife began to make suggestions at the kitchen table. Well, we could go as Batman and Robin. We could go as Mickey and Minnie. We could go as Beauty and the Beast. Husband said, I know who the Beast would be. Yes. She went on, and finally the husband said, no, none of them are appropriate. And finally she said, I have just the ticket. And she went upstairs to the attic, and he heard her rumbling around for about a half an hour, and she came down with his old army uniform. And he said, what's that for? Well, she said, I thought I could wear the bottom and you could wear the top, and we could go as upper and lower GI. Rhonda, when I read your remarkable and extraordinary resume, I couldn't help thinking of the words of President Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "Far and away, the highest prize that life has to offer is to work hard at things that are worth working for." And Rhonda, a proud graduate of Boston State College, is a special educator, a support teacher, a trainer, a program advisor for compliance, college lecturer. And these are just a few of the many roles that you have held in a most distinguished career in public education. Driven by the belief that all students deserve to have an excellent public education, you have dedicated your professional life to serving those with special needs. For more than 40 years, you have applied your considerable talents to ensuring that public schools in Boston, and communities, in fact, across the state, provide a supportive and inclusive learning environment. For the young girl with a challenging learning disability, for the parents of an autistic child, and a teacher needing additional training with differentiated education, you have been there. With your upbeat approach, your tireless energy, and considerable knowledge, you have had a significant and lasting impact in the Boston public schools and beyond. You planned and helped implement the Muriel Snowden International School at Copley Square, the nation's very first international high school. And just as an aside, that's where I taught for the last 12 years in the extension program for UMass Boston. So you did a very good job. Working with the Boston Teachers Union, you helped create the Peer Assistance Program, through which teachers receive classroom support. And with your assistance, Malden developed the Pathways Program to enable former dropouts to earn credits toward a high school diploma. A sought-after lecturer at local colleges and universities, including here at UMass Boston's College of Education, you help to prepare the next generation of teaching professionals. Additionally, through your numerous publications and presentations, you have made many vital contributions to your field. In recent years, through your appearance on WBZ Radio, you have provided parents with valuable assistance on addressing bullying, depression, and trauma response. Currently, as chair of the Early Education and Care Department at Cambridge College, you continue your commitment to your chosen profession. Through your understanding of outstanding contributions in the field of special education, you personify Boston State College's Education for Service model and serve as an exemplar of the college's legacy. In recognition of your distinguished service and leadership, the University of Massachusetts Boston is proud to present you with the Boston State College Education for Service Award. Wanda, please step forward and join Dee Berger and me. Fix my tie. He's a despot. Yes.
Hello, everyone. It's just an amazing thing to be here, and I mean, seeing my family, friends, and so many people actually that I saw again here tonight. I'm really touched by this. And I think what really touches me is that it's really honestly been a privilege and just my passion to really work with children and families and to be able to touch people's lives. It's like, to me, that's what makes me happy, and that to get an award for it, it's like, just it's over the top because it's something that I love doing. And I continue with it because what I feel is that all of us who are in the field, we should have a passion for what we do. And I feel the same way I did as a kid, you know, jumping into my classes and teaching and working and helping children now, still consulting. So to me, this is something that is a lifelong thing from the day you're born. You're always learning, and people helped you along the line, and your family continues and your friends to support you, and you continue to give that to other people along the way, because there's so many things that we all can do and to touch other people. So I am really happy to be here and to share this with and to thank people for this. Thank you very much.
She did it without any notes. Commissioner Bratton, given your lifelong commitment to law enforcement and fighting crime, I thought you would enjoy a story about this Irish lady who got caught shoplifting in a grocery store in Ireland. And she was brought into the local judge, and he said, "What are you here for, madam?" "I stole something." "What did you steal?" "I stole a can of peaches." "Well, why did you do that?" "Well, I was hungry." "Well, you can't go around stealing because you're hungry." "How many peaches were in that can?" 9. "All right, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 1 day in jail for each peach. That's 9 days in jail. Do you understand that? Do you think that's fair?" "Yes, Your Honor." As he was just about to bring down the gavel, this little Irish farmer jumped up in the back. "May I address the court, Your Honor?" "Well, who are you?" "I'm her husband." "Well, what do you have to say?" "She also stole a can of peas." In a storied 46-year career in law enforcement, you have earned an international reputation for re-engineering police departments and for fighting crime. Beginning here in Boston, you have led 6 police departments, including your roles as chief of police in Los Angeles and 2 non-consecutive terms as police commissioner of New York City. You are the only person to ever lead the police agencies of America's 2 largest cities, overseeing historic drops in crime, including murders and robberies in both communities. Beyond your field, you are celebrated as a role model for collaborative leadership needed to solve large, complex social problems. Recognizing that all have a role to play as crime fighters, you developed a framework for managing and fostering change that brought citizens, government, and industries together to develop breakthrough solutions. Notably, your proudest achievement, the progress you made in reducing tensions between the police department and the communities that they serve. Always at the cutting edge of managing security threats, you have fully embraced technology and its capacity to improve policing. Most recently in New York, you implemented the Mobile Digital Initiative, which provided a smartphone with a custom-designed app to every police officer and put a tablet in every police car. Through the Reforming NYPD's counterterrorism program, you developed 2 new units to provide the city with more than 1,000 highly trained and properly equipped officers focused on counterterrorism, on large-scale mobilizations, on site security, and rapid deployment. In your current role as executive chairman of Teneo Risk, you bring your renowned expertise on risk and security to advising business leaders on cyber risk management, counterterrorism, crisis anticipation, critical infrastructure, and health crisis advisory services. Additionally, you serve our nation as vice chairman for the Secretary of Homeland Security's Advisory Council. Through your outstanding contributions to law enforcement, you personify Boston State College's Education for Service motto and serve as an exemplar of the college's legacy. In recognition of your distinguished service and leadership, the University of Massachusetts Boston is proud to present you with the Boston State College Education for Service Award. Bill, if you'll step forward and receive your award. Dr. Berger. Can I stare to my tiptoes? Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First, thank you to the committee that has bestowed this honor upon me. Thank you certainly to our speaker and our master of ceremonies for the entertainment. I am really so pleased to be here. My wife, Vicki Kleeman, and I always love coming back to Boston so I can refresh my Boston accent as I travel around the country and around the world. That fortunately, people like the Boston accent, particularly my version of it. And so I always enjoy, now that my dad has passed, I could sit in the kitchen for half an hour with Dad and it would all come roaring back. So this evening, now spending time with you, I think the accent has been refreshed. And hopefully I won't need a translator. Sitting in the rows in the back, three of my colleagues from the Boston State program that I was privileged to attend in the 1970s. As a young Boston police officer, having just started my career in the Boston Police Department, there was a new program that was created here, the Criminal Justice Scholarship Program, in which police officers from the greater Boston area could attend this college and receive a college education. Tom Maloney, Ed McNally, Herbie Spellman are in that row back there. We're all proud graduates of this school. We would attend class in the morning in those turbulent times of the 1970s, the anti-war demonstrations, the desegregation of Boston public schools, the desegregation of Boston public housing. They were turbulent times. And we would attend college in the morning. In the afternoon, we'd put on our police uniforms, go down to the John F. Kennedy Center government building, stand behind the barricades, and many of our classmates that we had sat in the cafeteria with or attended classes with that morning would be on the other side of the barricade demonstrating. It was an interesting time to grow up in American policing. This school was the foundation, well, one of the foundation stones of the success that I think I have had in my career. I don't think I would have been as successful without that foundation. And let me identify two of the courses I think that were extraordinarily formulative in shaping me as a young man entering a very troubled profession in a very troubled country. Policing is all about dealing with crime and dealing with disorder. But in our country, it's also, in my experience over these last 50 years, it's about trying to deal with the issue of race. The issue of race that has caused so much of the tension in our society, and certainly between police and minority communities. The education I received here at Boston State Teachers College allowed me to understand the importance of seeing people. And let me explain that. Betsy Useem, urban geography. 2 courses, 2 semesters with Betsy. She taught me the importance of cities and why cities are so important for bringing people from all different backgrounds together at a time when American cities were supposedly dying. And she taught me as a young police officer to understand the importance of what keeping cities safe meant as a safe haven for people from all over the world to come to learn, to be entertained, to be educated, and to come together. And that's what cities are all about. At the same time, I took art appreciation with Dr. Arvanites. The school was right next to some of the leading museums in the world, and we would take our classes in those museums. And I would look at some of that art, and I would like some of it I wouldn't like, some of it I wouldn't understand. But Dr. Arvanites taught me, and taught many of my classmates, to understand what was behind what we were looking at, to understand the importance of it in history, to understand the importance of it in the advance of humankind. So as I was a young white police officer, now beginning to work for the first time in Mattapan, an all-black neighborhood, I was learning at Boston State College through the classmates that I was sitting at the cafeteria with and attending class with to understand the importance of seeing people, not to judge them by the color of their skin, the clothes they were wearing, where they were from, but to truly see them. And I'd like to think that my, if you will, contribution for the education I was privileged to receive at this school has been throughout my career to understand the importance of seeing people. And everywhere I've worked, I like to think that the issue of relationships between police and community has improved, because I think I understood the importance of seeing people, and I understood the importance of teaching my cops how to see them, and hopefully working with communities how to see police, not just see them as people in blue uniforms, but also as fellow human beings. So thank you to this school. Thank you to what it gave me, and what I hope what it gave me was returned in kind to the tens of thousands, if not millions of people I had the opportunity to impact during my career. It is an extraordinary institution, and it is amazing to see what it has become. Quite a far cry from Huntington Avenue, the old school. So thank you for this honor. It means quite a lot to me at this stage of my life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Bratton. Betsy, you see, Dr. Arvanitis, his two favorite teachers. Obviously, he didn't have me in class. You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote an essay on success. And I think this essay applies to our three recipients tonight. I think it mirrors the life of these three candidates, recipients, and what they did. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people, and the affection of children. To earn the inspiration of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends. To appreciate beauty. To always see the best in others. To make the world a better place, whether by a garden patch, a healthy child, a redeemed social condition. To know that one single person has breathed easier because you have lived. I think that describes the success that our recipients tonight have earned. And I can't let you go without one more story. This old-timer in Ireland went for his annual physical. And when the doctor finished, he said to him, well, when you finish dressing, he said, I'd like to see you in my office. And that's what transpired. And about a week later, the doctor was going down the main street in the village, and he looked across the street, and there was his patient. And he had this stunning blonde in his arm and a big grin in his face. So the doctor didn't want to embarrass him in front of the lady, so he waited. He saw him about a week later. Hey, he said, what's with the blonde and the grin? Just following your orders, Doc. Which were what? Find a hot mama and be cheerful. No, I said you have a heart condition, be careful. Well, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight and listening to our recipients. It's really, when you look at their credentials, they are really amazing people and what they have achieved and what they have accomplished. And although the formal speaking is over for the evening, please feel free to stay around and mingle in the atrium. Good evening, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. God bless. Thank you.